Alright, and we're back with Book 20 of the Odyssey by Homer. How God sent omens of the wrath to come. Well, this chapter sounds good. Odysseus is back home. He's mixing things up with the locals. There's a plan underway, courtesy of Athena. Let's get right into it. Odysseus made his bed in the forehall, an undressed ox hide with a pile of sheepskins on it. The sheep had gone down the throats of the uninvited guests. Eurynome tucked a cloak round him, and he lay there wide awake pondering his plans of vengeance. He heard the women go out giggling and joking to pair off with their lovers as usual. He felt as fierce as a bitch, standing over her litter of pups, snarling and growling at someone she does not know, and ready to fight. So his heart growled in him at their shameless ways. For a while he did not know whether to kill them all, or to let them go for the last dalliance of their lives. But at last he rated his heart with grim humor. "Patience, my heart! Patience! Patience, my love! Patience, my heart! You have been in a worse mess than this. When Goggle-Eye gobbled up my companions, the savage beast, you were patient then, until my machinations got you out of that den where you expected to die. His heart came to heel like a hound, patient now until the end." Odysseus is locked in. But his body kept tossing from side to side. He might have been a good fat black pudding going round in front of a blazing fire, while the cook basted it on the spit to roast it quickly. As he rolled over and over, thinking how he could get his hands on that shameless crew, one against many, Athena came down from heaven and stood by his side in the shape of a woman, saying, "Why are you wakeful, poor fellow? This is your house. Your wife is here in the house, and your boy, such as anyone might be proud to have for a son." Odysseus answered the vision. "Yes, that is true, my goddess. That is quite right. But what puzzles me is this. How can I get my hands on this shameless crew alone by myself? They always come here in a crowd. And there is another thing worse than that. If I could kill them by the help of Zeus and yourself, how could I escape the blood feud? I pray you tell me that." Athena said, "Incorrigible! Many a man trusts a weaker friend, a mere mortal who has fewer ways to help. But I am a god, and I always protect you in all your dangers. I tell you plainly, if 50 battalions of mortal men stood round us determined to kill, even so you should drive off their flocks and herds. Come, come, sleep away. All this watching and waking tires a man out, and you shall soon be free of your troubles." While she spoke, his eyelids drooped in sleep, and the goddess returned to Olympus. But while sleep held him fast, and as it soothed his heavy limbs, soothed also his heavy heart. His faithful wife awoke. She sat up on her bed weeping, and when the tears brought some relief, she prayed aloud to Artemis. "Artemis, queen and goddess, daughter of Zeus, pierce my heart with an arrow now, and let me die. Or let the storm wind snatch me up and carry me through the air, and drop me at the mouth of the rolling ocean stream. Did not the storm wind carry off Penderos's girls? The gods destroyed their parents." Get in there. Get in there. "The gods destroyed their parents, and they were left orphans. But Aphrodite fed them with cheese and sweet honey and delicious wine. Hera gave them beauty and good sense above other women. Holy Artemis made them grow tall. Athena, we're just gonna, you know what, it's too late to turn back now, that's just Athena. Athena taught them skill in women's work. Then Aphrodite went to the Olympian heights and made her petition to thundering Zeus, for he knows all things, both what is fated for men and what is not. She begged Zeus to arrange a happy marriage for the girls, and while she was there, the Snatchers snatched them away and delivered them to the cruel avengers to look after. If only the Olympians would make away with me so, or if Artemis would pierce me with her arrows. Let me once more see my husband before my eyes, and then be laid in the earth with my sorrow. Let me not gladden the heart of a lesser man. Sorrow can be endured even when the days are passed in tears with a broken heart. So long as sleep comes in the night, for sleep brings forgetfulness of all things, both good and evil, as soon as the eyelids close. But I am haunted by cruel dreams. This very night one like him slept by my side, just as he was when he left me that day, and how glad my heart was. I thought it was no vision of my dreams, but flesh and blood at last. As she said this, the day dawned in a golden glow. Odysseus heard her sorrowful voice, and in his dreamy half-consciousness he seemed to see that she knew him and stood by his side. He gathered up his bedding and took it into the hall, where he laid it upon a chair. Then he carried the ox-hide into the courtyard, and lifting up his hands, prayed to Zeus. "O Father Zeus, it has been the god's good will to bring me home over the sea and land, after visiting me with sore afflictions. Let one of those now awaking in this house speak a word of meaning, and here without let Zeus give me a sign." Zeus Allwise heard his prayer. At once came a thunderclap from radiant Olympus out of the clouds on high, and brought joy to his heart. The word of portent came from a woman grinding corn in the millhouse close by. 12 women used to keep the millstones rolling, to grind wheatmeal and barley meal, and the marrow of men's bodies. The others had ground their portion and gone to sleep, but one was still at it, the weakest of them all. Now she stopped her millstone and gave the sign which her master prayed for, crying out, "O Father Zeus, King of kings and Lord of lords, there was a great thunderclap out of a starry sky, with not a cloud to be seen. Truly this is a sign from heaven for someone. Then hear the prayer of a miserable woman like me. May this day's breakfast be the last breakfast these men shall ever eat. See how they have worn me out with heartbreaking toil and grind their barley. Now may this be their last meal." Odysseus was glad to hear the words of the omen and the clap of thunder. And the clap of thunder. Now he felt sure he should punish the guilty men. The other women were busy now, and making up the fire on the hearth. Telemachus rose from his bed and dressed. Then he slung the sword over his shoulder, and slipped his lissom feet into his boots, and took a good sharp lance in hand. And as he came out of his room, he called to Euryclea. "Nanny dear, how did you look after the stranger? Had he bed and food, or was he left to shift for himself? That's mother's way, though she is sensible enough. She makes no end of a fuss for of one man, and sends another away with contempt, but the better man gets worse treatment." The wise old woman answered, "Now don't thou go to blame when there's no blame due. He sat down, he drank his wine as long as he liked, and said I wasn't hungry. And she asked the question. When he turned his mind to sleep, she bade the maids lay the bed for him, but not he. Said was used to roughing it. Wouldn't lie on bed and blankets, but slept on a raw cowhide and sheepskins in the forehall. We tucked him in with a wrap." On hearing this answer, Telemachus went through the house, still holding the spear, and his 2 dogs went dancing about him. He passed out on his way to the marketplace, and Euryclea called to the maids, Wake up, lasses, get to work, and sweep out the place and sprinkle it. Lay the purple rugs on the seats. Some of you wipe over all the tables with your sponges and wash out the mixin' bowls and drinking cups. Some be off to the spring for water, and don't dawdle on the way. The company will soon be here. They'll be early enough today when they are all keeping holiday. The maids were not slow in obeying. 20 of them set out for the spring, and the rest made the house tidy. The men servants now came in and chopped wood. By and by the maids came back from the spring, and after them the swineherd with 3 of his best fat pigs. He left the pigs feeding in their sty, and asked Odysseus quietly, "Stranger, are the people looking after thee better, or are they as bad as ever?" Odysseus answered, "May God punish them for their outrageous doings in another man's house. They have not a scrap of shame in them." As they were talking, Melanthius, the goatherd, came in with his best goats for dinner. 2 underlings were with him. He tied up the goats under the porch, and at once began railing at Odysseus. "I see you're going to be a nuisance again with your begging, man. You had better get out while you can. I surmise that we two shall not part without a taste of fisticuffs, for you play the beggar without rhyme or reason. Are there no other dinner tables in town?" Odysseus made no answer. He threw back his head in silence and brooded on the wrath to come. A 3rd man now joined them. Philoetius, an excellent fellow, bringing a pharaoh cow and some fat goats they had come across by the public ferry. He tied up his animals under the porch, and turning to the swineherd, said, "Who is this stranger come to our house, swineherd? What is his nation and family? Where does he come from? Poor man, looks like one of the real quality, but surely the gods do plague unhappy mankind when they spin out trouble even for the quality." As he said this, he offered his hand to Odysseus in greeting, and went on. "Welcome to thee, father, and good luck to thee in days to come. Just now thou'rt far from happy. O Father Zeus, thou art most cruel of all gods. Men are thy offspring, but thou hast no pity for them, to bring them acquainted with pain and tribulation. I fell of a sweat when I saw thou, and the tears came into my eyes, thinking of the master. I doubt not he's dressed in rags like thine and wandering through the world, if he is still alive and sees the light of the sun. But if he is dead and gone, alack-a-day for my good master, who set me over the cattle in Cephalina, when I was a slip of a boy. And now they breed a fair miracle, else how could a man see the broad-faced beasts sprouting up like stalks in a wheat field? But these foreigners make me drive 'em in for their eating. They care not a jot for the young master here in the house. God's wrath doesn't make them tremble. What they mean is to parcel out all his goods forthwith, now the master is away so long. I keep turning it over in my mind. It's a bad job while the son is alive to march off with my cattle to another country and foreign masters, but it fairly makes a man sick to stay here and look after the beasts with foreigners laying down the law. A wretched life. I'd have made off long ago and taken service with some other squire, for life's not worth living here. But I can't help thinking of the poor master, who might come back. Who knows, and make a clean sweep of the lot of them." Odysseus answered, "Drover, you seem an honest fellow and no fool, and I can see myself that you know what is right and proper. Therefore, I tell you, and take my solemn oath upon it, Zeus be my witness and this hospitable table, and the hearth of Odysseus to which I have come for protection, that you will be here when Odysseus will return." "And you will see with your own eyes the death of those wastrels who lord it in this place." The drover replied, "May Cronion bring it to pass, stranger, then thou'st know what my strength is, and how my hands play up." While they were talking thus, the pretenders were discussing how they could murder Telemachus, but they spied a bird on the left, an eagle flying high with a trembling dove in his claws. So Amphimenus said to the others, my friends, this plan will not run smooth. This death for Telemachus. Never mind, don't let us forget our dinner. He's like, let's just, how about we just call it off? How about we just call the whole thing off? This plan will not run smooth, this death for Telemachus. Never mind, don't let us forget our dinner. This suited them all very well, and they went in. They made the seats and benches comfortable with rugs, and some of them killed the great sheep and goats. Others killed the fat pigs and the cow. They broiled the tripes and chitterlings and sent them round. They filled the mixing bowls with wine. The swineherd served the cups. Bread was brought in baskets by the excellent Philoetius, and Melanthius poured the wine. So the company fell to. Telemachus carefully chose a place for Odysseus and put him within the great hall beside the doorstone, with a ramshackle old chair and a small table. He provided him with a plate of tripe and a gold mug full of wine, saying aloud, "Sit there now among the gentlemen and drink away. I will protect you from rudeness and violence. For this is not a public place, but my father's house, and he got it for me. So I request you, gentlemen, to control your tongues and your hands, if you wish to avoid a quarrel." It astonished them all to hear this bold language, and they bit their lips. But Antinous spoke to his friends. Antinous spoke to his friends. "That's a rough way of putting it, men," he said, with a plain threat. "But we had better put up with it. Zeus would not allow us, or we should have silenced him by this time, and heard the last of his oratory." Telemachus took no notice. All this while the public heralds had been leading the sacrificial victims in procession through the streets, and the people were gathering in the shady grove of Archer Apollo. In the house of Odysseus, they had broiled the flesh meat and served it up. There was a famous feast for them all, and Odysseus himself had the same share as the others, by order of his son Telemachus. But Athena intended to provoke Odysseus yet more, and she would not let the intruders abate their outrageous doings. One of them was a lawless ruffian named Ctesippus. A CT sound? Come on, I don't know. A CT sound, I don't know. Ctesippus, who came from Sami. No doubt he trusted to his huge fortune in paying court to the lady of Ithaca, while her lord was so long away. This man saw his chance, and called out, "Word to your ears, my bully lads, just a moment. This stranger has had his due share already, like the rest of us, but I will be adding a parting gift, so that he may be able to tip the bathmen or the servants in this lordly hall." And picking up a cow's foot out of the basket, he threw it straight at Odysseus. But Odysseus saw it coming, and dodged it neatly by a slight movement of the head. Bang went the hoof against the wall, and Odysseus smiled grimly to himself. But Telemachus said ironically, "That was a good notion of yours, Ctesippus, to miss him so neatly. But stay, I see he dodged it himself. If not, I would have run you through with my spear, and your father would have been burying you instead of marrying. So I warn you all not to indulge in violence here. I am no longer a child, but I see what goes on and know all about it, both good and bad. We have to put up with this kind of thing, sheep slaughtered and wine guzzled and bread swallowed down, because it is hard for one to control many. But I beg you to stop all this malicious damage. If you really mean to kill me outright, I should prefer that. It would be much better to die than to look on every day at violence, strangers knocked about and women dragged all over the place in this indecent way." They had nothing to say to this, but after a long pause, Agelaus, Damastorides said, My good friends, that is quite fair and proper, and no one has any right to object or feel annoyed. Leave the stranger alone and all the servants in the house of my lord Odysseus. Agelaus, Demasterides. I'll leave the stranger alone and all the servants in the house of my lord Odysseus. But I should like to say something with all due respect to Telemachus and his mother, and I hope they will take it in a friendly spirit. So long as any real hope was left that Odysseus would return home, there was no harm in waiting and refusing those who offered themselves in marriage. That was much the best thing if Odysseus did return, and put in an appearance, but now it is clear that he will never come. Just sit down and have a quiet talk with your mother. Tell her to take the best man who offers the most liberal, that you may enjoy your patrimony in peace and plenty, and someone else may give her a home. Telemachus answered, I swear to you, Agelaus, by Zeus and by the sorrows of my father, whether he be dead or wandering somewhere far from Ithaca, that I do not try to delay my mother's marriage. Indeed, I beg her to take whom she will, and I offer any amount by the way of dowry. But I should be ashamed to lay down the law and turn her out of doors if she does not want to go. God forbid. The gallants roared with laughter to hear this, and could not stop, for Athena had sent their wits astray. But the laugh turned into a grimace. And see, their plates were messed with blood, tears streamed from their eyes, their minds foreboded mourning. Theoclymenus, the seer cried aloud, Ah, miserable creatures! What is happening to you? Night is wrapped about your heads and your faces and your bodies down to the knees. There is a blaze of lamentation, tears rolling down your cheeks. Walls and panellings are bedabbled with blood. The porch is full of phantoms. The court is full of phantoms, hurrying down to Eurybos in the dark. The sun has perished out of the sky, and a thick fog spreads all over. Over all. They laughed loudly to hear this, and Eurymachus said, The stranger is dazed because he doesn't know our part of the world. Look sharp, fellows. Take him out and show him the way to the marketplace, since he thinks it is night here. But Theoclymenus answered, I didn't ask you for guides, Eurymachus. I have eyes and ears and a good pair of feet, and my mind is all right. Nothing wrong there. They will help me out of this place, since I can see woe coming upon you, which not one soul shall escape out of all those who frequent this house, maltreating men and plotting violent deeds. So saying, he walked out of the house and made his way to Peiros, who welcomed him gladly. But the gallants laughed and nodded, and began to tease Telemachus about his guests. My dear Telemachus, there never was anyone more unlucky in his guests. First, you hunt up this vagrant and bring him in. All he wants is something to eat and drink. Can't do a stroke of work or trail a pike. He's just a burden to the earth. And here's another gets on his feet and plays the prophet. If you'll follow my advice, it will pay you. Let's bundle the pair of them into a ship and send them off to Sicily, where they will fetch a good price. So they railed unabashed. But Telemachus took no notice of their talk. He looked to his father in silence, biding his time till he should get his hands on the shameless crew. Penelope had put a seat opposite the door, and she heard all that was said. Laughing and talking, they got ready for their meal, with victuals of the best and plenty after slaughtering all those animals. But no supper could have been more unpleasant than that which a goddess and a strong man were soon to set before them, in return for their unprovoked machinations. It is reaching a boiling point. The roof is about to blow on this thing, I can tell. And then I guess next time there's going to be a contest with the Great Bow in book 21. We'll see you then.